It's 10 p.m. Do you know where your children are?
Right now on the 10 o'clock news.
Tragedy on the Hudson. A helicopter crashes into the water, killing all 6 people on board, including 3 children.
We're praying for the families and our gratitude to the rescuers.
It felt like a crash.
Live team coverage on the 10 o'clock news starts right now.
And we begin with that horrific crash in the Hudson River. Good evening. I'm Natasha Vermont.
And I'm Steve Lacey. You saw it all unfold right here on Fox 5. Here's the latest breaking details tonight at 10. 6 people, a family of 5 Spanish tourists, and the pilot all lost their lives when the Bell 206 helicopter broke apart midair and crashed upside down into the Hudson River just after 3 o'clock this afternoon. Tonight, officials say the dead have been recovered and removed from the water. A tragic end to a sightseeing trip.
And we have Fox 5 live team coverage for you tonight. Jessica Formoso is in Lower Manhattan. Richard Jacobus is on the New Jersey side of the Hudson.
All right, and Chief Meteorologist Nick Gregory, a certified pilot, have all the angles covered. We're going to start, though, with Jessica and new details on the victims. Jess.
Steve and Natasha, we are here at the heliport. The Bell 206 left here at about 2:59. It was all of 18 minutes before the 911 calls came in saying that a helicopter crashed into the Hudson. On board, a pilot and a family of 5 from Spain, from Barcelona. It was a husband, a wife, and 3 young children. A source telling me tonight that that husband was Agustin Escobar, a CEO of a well-known tech company. Sadly, like you said, no one survived this horrific crash. Now, according to authorities, the call came in at around 3:17 p.m. Police receiving multiple calls of people saying that a helicopter crashed into the Hudson River. Video shows the helicopter spinning out of control midair, plummeting into the river on the Hoboken side. Pieces of the helicopter, like the tail, broke apart as it was coming down. The family tourists, they got on the tourist helicopter, which is operated by New York Helicopters, just before 3 p.m. According to the police commissioner, at 3:08, the helicopter reached the George Washington Bridge. It was heading back south along the Jersey side of the river when it lost control and crashed into the water upside down. FDNY rescue swimmers went right in trying to save lives, but in this case, they were not able to. 4 of the victims died at the scene. 2 others were rushed to the hospital, but later pronounced dead.
A Bell 206 helicopter flying for the tour company New York Helicopters took off from the downtown Manhattan heliport at 2:59 p.m. The aircraft flew south before turning to fly north along the Manhattan shoreline up the Hudson River. At 3:08 p.m., the helicopter reached the George Washington Bridge and then turned again to fly south along the New Jersey shoreline. Shortly thereafter, the aircraft lost control and hit the water just a few feet off the coast of Pier A Park in Hoboken. The cause of the crash is currently under investigation.
Now, we reached out to the helicopter company, New York Helicopters. The CEO, Michael Roth, says, "I'm devastated. I'm a father and a grandfather, and to have children on there, I'm devastated. I'm absolutely devastated, and I haven't seen anything like that in my 30 years in business, in the helicopter business." Now, the investigation continues tonight as to what happened. Why did this helicopter spin midair and crash into the Hudson River? Now the FAA and the NTSB are leading this investigation. We're live tonight here at the heliport. I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News. Steve, Bianca.
Thanks, Jessica. The helicopter, of course, came crashing down right into the Hudson River in the middle of the afternoon.
Yeah, and people on both sides of the Hudson seeing the tragedy play out in real time as the chopper fell from the sky. Our team coverage continues now with Richard Jacobus live in Jersey City. Richard.
Tasha, Steve, it was supposed to be a joyride in the sky for that family of 5 who went to take in the sights of New York City. Instead, something went terribly wrong. After that helicopter split in two, the fuselage separating from the rotor midair before it tumbled into the frigid waters. And into tonight, new video we are showing you now of that barge with a large crane on it, operated by the Army Corps of Engineers, lifting that chopper. Its metal now twisted and mangled out of the cold, murky water. We're about 150 yards from where that chopper went down this afternoon, next to a pier, very dense residential part of Jersey City. This is where first responders conducted their search and rescue and then recovery. We're hearing the dispatch calls from both Jersey City Fire and the NYPD Marine Unit tonight, moments after that crash. Listen.
Vessel Traffic Service New York has received a report of a helicopter crash in vicinity of the Holland Tunnel vents on the New Jersey side. All mariners proceed with caution through the area and report to VTS any sightings. This is Vessel Traffic Service New York.
Yeah, I've located the chopper. It's north of the vents right here, right where I'm sitting. It's upside down in the water here.
And then I just seen debris just flying all over the place. And I pulled it back to see. And then that's when I heard surf line make the call. And I circled around. I didn't know he ended up there.
Intense moments there. Now, this is video from earlier where you see pieces of that chopper, the debris, floating along the Hudson. The common theme after speaking to so many witnesses today is the sound they heard before they actually saw what happened. Danny Horbiak works from home. He described the moment he heard that loud boom once the chopper went spiraling out of control and hit the water.
I work from home full time, and I have a view of the city. So I actually heard it before anything else, but it sounded like several gunshots in a row almost in the air. So I turned and I looked out my window and I saw a helicopter, and it looked like pieces were falling off. But it happened so fast, I didn't have time to get my camera or anything, but I watched it splash in several pieces into the river right outside my window.
Those witnesses and, of course, the pieces of that helicopter, all part of this investigation. As Jessica mentioned, the FAA and the NTSB, part of that investigation, and President Trump saying tonight that announcements on what took place and how will be made shortly. Nonetheless, a gut-wrenching, heartbreaking day. We're live in Jersey City tonight. Richard Giacovis, Fox 5 News. Natasha, Steve.
All right, Richard, thank you. Now let's get some expert perspective from Nick Gregory.
That's right, Nick. Not only you're a meteorologist, you're a certified pilot, a flight instructor. So you and I just hopped on air the second this happened. We really didn't know much, and as the video came in, it became quite clear some sort of catastrophic failure happened mid-flight.
And I think, again, what was fascinating about that video, something I'd never seen before, was the rotor blades, the whole potential hub of the rotor blade coming off the helicopter.
Yeah.
And at that point, with no lift being able to be generated anymore by the blades, you saw the result.
I mean, we heard all the experts, yourself included, saying once that happens, the pilot has no role.
You have no control, because at that point, again, there's no way to maintain any lift. And I think the other part of this was when the blades separated, the belief is that it took out the tail, the tail rotor, which is in the back there as well. Again, nothing that they could do, nothing that the pilot could do in that scenario. I mean, there are possibilities when there is an engine failure and everything is still intact, that they do what's called an auto rotation, where they can detach from the transmission. The rotor blades can detach from the transmission, and you can sort of use the energy, the momentum. Those blades are still spinning, and the pilot can bring the helicopter down what's called this sort of a safe auto rotation back to the ground and land normally. But in this situation, there's no control
at all.
No way to be able to control the situation there at the last minute.
And when we first came on air, we thought maybe the weather had played a role in this, and then it was clear that this was a catastrophic mid-air equipment failure. But nonetheless, I mean, a rescue effort in temperatures, freezing temperatures in the Hudson River. I mean, that's challenging too.
And the weather was deteriorating during the recovery process, because we had the wind pick up in the afternoon. At the time of the accident there, the wind was gusting about 30 miles an hour, and as the rescue and recovery efforts were going on, it started to rain. So, and you could see there was white caps on the Hudson there. So, it made it a challenge, and water temperatures being in the 40s to about 50 degrees, that's a challenge for survival, but also the divers. They have a limited time to spend land in the water when the water's that cold.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it didn't wind up mattering. The crash was too intense, and all 6 people on board died. All right, Nick, we appreciate your perspective as always.
And of course, keep it locked here on Fox 5. We're going to have the latest updates on the helicopter crash as they come into our newsroom, and we'll also have live reports from Jess and Richard coming up at 10:30.
All right, and of course, when we're not on the air, we are always streaming in the free Fox local app where you can get breaking news updates 24/7.
You're watching the 10 o'clock news.
Back to our top story, a horrific helicopter crash in the Hudson River claiming the lives of all 6 people on board, including 3 children. What started out as a sightseeing flight ended in tragedy. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Natasha Verma.
And I'm Steve Lacey. We're following all angles of this breaking story. We have live team coverage tonight.
Richard G. Cobus has been talking to witnesses who saw the helicopter fall from the sky. Jessica Formoso has the latest on the victims.
And Teresa Priolo is looking at past tragedies involving helicopter crashes here in the city. We're going to start with Richard and what people saw as that chopper went down. And Richard, it went down fast.
It sure did, Steve and Natasha. And what people are saying is that they heard it before they saw it. They heard that loud boom and it's what sounded like a gunshot to them, something falling or something breaking. They weren't sure what it was. For the family of 5, as you mentioned, who took to the sky, sources telling Fox 5, they were from Spain, all 5 of them on a sightseeing tour. They wanted to see New York City from up above before something went terribly wrong. And that helicopter split in 2 midair before the fuselage separated from the rotor, and it tumbled into the frigid waters. We have video tonight of that chopper being pulled out of the murky waters here in the Hudson. A barge with a large crane on it, operated by the Army Corps of Engineers, lifting it out of the cold water. Twisted and mangled now. We're about 150 yards from where it went down this afternoon next to a pier in this very dense residential part of Jersey City. This is where first responders conducted their search and rescue and then recovery. As we mentioned, the common theme we hear from witnesses over and over again is the sound they heard before they actually saw what happened. Some say it sounded like a loud boom once the chopper went spiraling out of control and then hit the water.
I was working and I heard a very loud boom noise, and it felt like a crash because it was so loud, and I could see this place from my window, so I immediately looked. At the moment I didn't see anything, but it was right at the moment. I kept looking, but yeah, then after some time I saw a lot of cops and everything. That's why I came down, but it was a very loud noise, so it felt like a crash.
My husband was home the entire time, and he said that he also heard a loud boom, wasn't sure what it was. Turns out it's the helicopter. One of my good friends in the building said that she saw debris falling from the sky. We didn't know it was a helicopter, and yeah, it's very scary. I just went to go get my groceries and I see little particles of the helicopter in the river. It's terrible.
So those witnesses and, of course, the pieces of the chopper, what was pulled out tonight, all part of the investigation. The NTSB and FAA both handling that investigation. And President Trump saying tonight that an announcement will be made shortly on what took place and how. Heartbreaking, nonetheless, tonight. We are live in Jersey City. Richard Giacopoulos, Fox 5 News. Steve.
Many questions, indeed. All right, thanks, Richard. Let's get the latest now on the victims. Jessica Formoso is live in Lower Manhattan. Jess.
Natasha and Steve, inside that helicopter, a pilot and 5 members of the same family, a husband, wife, and 3 young children. A source telling me tonight that husband was Agustin Escobar, a CEO of Siemens, a very well-known tech company. No one survived that crash. We're here at the heliport, and when the helicopter departed, it was 2:59. It was all of 18 minutes before all those 911 calls came in, saying that a helicopter crashed into the Hudson. According to authorities, the call came in at around 3:17. Police receiving multiple calls of people saying that a helicopter had crashed into the Hudson River. Video shows the helicopter spinning out of control midair, plummeting into the river on the Hoboken side. Pieces of the helicopter, like the tail, broke apart and it crashed down. The family got a tourist from Spain, which got on this helicopter operated by New York Helicopters just before 3. According to the police commissioner, at 3:08, the helicopter reached the George Washington Bridge. It was heading back south along the Jersey side of the river when it lost control and crashed into the water upside down. FDNY rescue swimmers went into the water trying to save lives.
NYPD divers pulled 4 people from the crash site, and FDNY divers recovered an additional 2. Immediate life-saving measures were undertaken on the vessels at the scene, as well as the adjoining pier. 4 victims were pronounced dead on scene, and 2 more were removed to local area hospitals, where sadly both succumbed to their injuries.
We were met by the first responders, and they told us they did everything they can to try to save these victims, and you can see the trauma in their face.
Very traumatic, really just a tragedy. Now, we reached out to the CEO of the helicopter company. He tells us that he is devastated, that he has never seen anything like this in his 30 years in business. Of course, now the investigation continues. It's going to be led by the FAA and the NTSB. We're live in Lower Manhattan. I'm Jessica Formoso, Fox 5 News. Natasha, Steve.
Jess, thank you so much. And today's horrific crash in the Hudson brings back memories of other disasters that we've seen.
That's right. The last back in 2019. Fox 5's Teresa Priolo live in the newsroom with a closer look. Teresa.
Yes, Steve and Natasha, generally speaking, aviation experts agree that helicopters are a safe form of aviation, and the overall fatal accident rate is less than what we see on, say, private planes. But a lot of that hinges on who is flying and who is maintaining the aircraft.
There have been approximately 9 helicopter crashes in New York City in the last 2 decades. Before today, the last one occurred in June of 2019. A helicopter used for executive travel crashed onto the rooftop of the Manhattan skyscraper. There was only the pilot on board, and he died. The NTSB found he was flying in restricted airspace. The weather that day was foggy and rainy. A month before, in May of 2019, a charter flight crashed into the Hudson. The pilot was moving the aircraft to the heliport when it malfunctioned. He was the only one on board, and he made it out alive. But perhaps the one that appears to be the most similar to what we witnessed Thursday happened on the East River back in March of 2018. 5 people drowned when a charter chopper offering open-door tourist flights crashed into the East River. That charter was owned by Liberty Helicopters, which billed itself as the largest and most experienced helicopter sightseeing and charter service in the Northeast. The victims were strapped into their seats by harness, and city divers had to cut them from their restraints. 2 victims died at the scene, 3 others died at the hospital. That crash was deemed survivable had it not been for those harnesses. Both rivers provide for beautiful but initially challenging flight conditions, with a heavy saturation of helicopters and even increased turbulence.
The area is designated as what's known as a SFRA, S-F-R-A, a special flight rules area. It's up to the pilots to see and avoid each other. Most of the aircraft have installed in the cockpit a way to get an electronic fix on another aircraft.
Ultimately, Thursday's crash will be looked at from every angle with every tool available.
They will look very closely at all sorts of factors relating to this. They'll look at what the pilot did the night before, what he had for breakfast, was he current, was he proficient, had he flown recently, did he meet all the requirements of the FAA and his company. They'll look at the maintenance records very, very carefully.
Now, by the numbers, over 70 people have died in helicopter crashes since 1977 here in New York City. That's, of course, not including today's tragedy. Steve.
All right. Thanks, Teresa. And, of course, keep it loaded on Fox 5 for the latest updates on the victims of the helicopter crash and for the newest developments in the investigation.
And, of course, when we're not on air, we can always stream using the free Fox local app.